welcome. You're watching Explosive Exclusive, and we are getting to you today Operation Cocktail, a series of documents that will expose how the Aam Aadmi Party was actually instrumental. That Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi was instrumental in a loss of 2002 crore rupees being suffered by you and I, the public exchequer, the tax-paying public. Over the next 1 hour, we will reveal how liquor barons were allegedly given fee waivers by the Delhi government while we were battling for our lives in the midst of the pandemic. We are the only channel which will get you proof of this in black and white. It's now time for Operation Cocktail. Times Now is the only channel to have accessed the CAG report on the Liquorgate scam. While Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and his generals claim that there is no scam, that kuch nahi mila, no loss was suffered by the tax-paying public, we now have details not just of how much of a loss was suffered, but also in which manner. A breakup of this loss of a whopping 2002 crores by the taxpayer of India. We reveal to you now what are the findings of India's chief auditor and what has led it to peg the figure at 2002 crores loss for the failed excise policy of the Delhi Sarkar. We now unravel for you the complex trail of fee waivers, lack of approval and outright mismanagement that has landed Kejriwal's key aides Manish Sisodia, Sanjay Singh in jail. Let's first start with the breakup of this figure of 2002 crore loss, and then we will reveal how the CAG arrived at this figure. So ladies and gentlemen, how did this loss of 2002 crores take place? Times Now has accessed the CAG report in Liquorgate, which gives you all of these details. Let's go to that breakup and show you how under the different heads this loss has been proven. Loss number one of 941.53 crore rupees. It is due to not taking timely permissions. I will elaborate for you in detail what this means, but take a look at these headers. 900 plus crores because timely permissions were not taken by the government departments of the government of Delhi. 890.15 crore rupees loss due to not doing re-tendering of surrendered zones. The licenses of some zones had been surrendered. Nobody bothered to re-tender for them. Result? The public suffers the loss. Third, loss of 144 crores because of irregular grant of waiver to zonal licensees for COVID. So COVID hit and then zonal licensees were told, all right, we'll give you a waiver. You don't have to pay the kind of fees that you agreed to pay. Why was this waiver given to them? This was nowhere in the tender. Nowhere was the government liable or obligated to give this kind of waiver. Was this out of friendship, ताकि दोस्ती बनी रहे? We wonder why. We'll talk about that in detail as well. And then there is 27 crores loss due to incorrect collection of security deposit from zonal licensees. Add this all up together and you come to this figure of 2002 crores. This is the figure loss that CAG has put in its report. Now, I'm going to explain to you the breakup of all of these different heads that I have explained to you. 2002 crore rupees is the overall loss that the CAG has found. What is the breakup of this loss? Let's take a look at the first header. Here you see 941.53 crore rupees. What actually happened? Let me explain to you the modus operandi. Now, the master plan of Delhi 2007 has banned liquor shops from existing or operating in non-conforming areas. Non-conforming areas is basically mixed use. For example, there are shops also there, but there's also a residential area. Perhaps there's a school. So it's a mixed use. The Delhi master plan said, if it is a mixed use area, you can't have liquor vends. Then came the excise policy. Excise policy said, even in mixed use areas, you can open your liquor shops. That is what the excise policy said. It mandated 2 vents in each ward, even in non-conforming areas. So they sold off all these licenses. They said, wherever you want, please open. 2 vents in each zone, irrespective of what the land use is. What happened then? These liquor licenses were allotted in August 2021, but without getting clearance from DDA or MCD. That's the key point. You ad hoc, randomly, you gave away these licenses. You said, please go ahead, open this big liquor vents. DDA MCD wasn't told. As a result, on the 16th of November 2021, DDA stopped these liquor vents from operating in non-conforming areas. DDA naturally was sticking to the master plan. They said these liquor vents cannot be opened in these places. The licensees then went to the court. They went to the High Court, and it gave them exemption from paying license fee. As a result, the licensees were given licenses. Government said, you please go ahead, open your vents. The DDA said, sorry, you can't. Licensees went to court. Court said, forget it. Don't pay your license fee. It's fine. We give you exemption. As a result, 114.5 crore rupees per month was not paid by these licensees, thanks to the exemption given to them by the Delhi High Court. The cumulative loss is this figure of 941.53 crores. Imagine the carelessness with which this is done. You implement a policy, you don't bother to get all the stakeholders on board with it. There is complete mismanagement in between these different agencies. The people who are supposed to give money, which would have gone into the government coffers, they naturally approach court. The court puts a stay on this. 941 crores goes from your pocket because somebody else did not think it was important to first tell the MCD and DDA, this is what our liquor policy is. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is 900 plus crores. Let's look at the next header now. What is the next header? It is 800 plus crores which has been lost. How has the 800 plus crores been lost? I will tell you that in detail, but let's get the opening comments from the guests joining us now. We have Tushar Gupta, political analyst, joining us along with Piyush Joshi, also political analyst. Tushar Gupta, what do you make of this? It seems almost unbelievable that the CAG has found, and let me read out some parts of this. When you have a policy that is made, what is actually done? Audit observed that in spite of being aware of the fact that vents were required to be opened in non-conforming wards, the department did not take timely action to work out modalities for the same before tendering. Excise policy for the year 2021-22 and terms and conditions of licenses were approved on 24th May 2021, and the licenses were allotted even before this issue was sorted out. How can somebody be so lackadaisical?
Good evening, Padmaja. Clearly, this policy was ushered in a very hurried way. And we must not forget that this was in the wake of the Delta wave. So the city was still recovering, the country was still recovering. And in the midst of all of that, when the Kejriwal government should have focused on the recovery of the economy, the well-being of the people at large, they were pushing a policy which benefited a very few people. I mean, this is what the CAG report clearly suggests. You just read out a number, 941 crores, just because the basic procedure was not followed. These are humongous numbers. 941 crores just lost because you're opening liquor vents in areas you're not supposed to open it. Now, one thing, were they assuming that the permission would be coming? That's also an important question we need to ask. When the Kejriwal government was opening those liquor vents in non-conforming areas, anywhere, were they assuming that they'll have some sort of a quid pro quo with the DDA, with the permitting authority? That's also one question we really need to explore. Of course, that did not happen later on. But what was the motivation to go ahead and flout the rules so shamelessly? That's something I really need to understand.
Piyush Joshi, what do you make of this? Let me again quote to you what is being said.
Well, I got it.
And let's stick to the first graphic itself, where we are talking about the 900 plus crores. We'll come to the others in just a second. Let me again read out to you, because let me read out the details. The issue is reflective of mismanagement of the department in its inability to timely introduce new policy, its inability to, this resulted in exemption of license fee of 114.5 crores per month, non-sorting out of the issue of vents in non-conforming areas resulted in this exemption and a cumulative loss. Why?
Okay. Now there are. Let us take this thing step by step. You have already emphasized upon the point that the DDA and MCD did not give the permission for around half of the vents. Before institutionalizing this policy, before implementing this policy, the vents were operational in these areas. Okay, then even in the non-conforming areas, you can go back and check upon it. Now, what happens that the LG at that particular time in August 2021, which was probably Najib Jangji, I may be wrong, but he agreed to this 2 vents per ward policy and signed on that particular policy. After this policy has been implemented, the LG goes back and then instructs the government, which has full right, mind you, full right in any change of policy, because except for law and order, policing and land, everything comes under the purview of the Delhi government. So, after the government has gone ahead and implemented the policy, the LG says, no, you have to take a permission from DDA and MCD.
So I'm a little confused. Hold on a second. You are saying that even in the non-conforming areas, the vents were already functioning. There was no need to take any permission from the DDA or the MCD.
Let me. Normally when something which comes under the purview of the state government of Delhi, and the government takes a policy decision on it, the DDA and MCD usually cooperate along with it.
No, what is usually? You cannot change policy. If I have said, if the master plan of Delhi says that in this area, in the Times Now office, you cannot have a liquor vent, you can't just be, oh, I have changed my policy, now 2 liquor vents will open in this office without telling me. You haven't even told me, and you've made a policy saying, we will open 2 liquor vents on your premises. It can't work like that.
It has to work like that, because that is why the government of Delhi is elected, and that is why the Honorable Supreme Court adjudicated on the matter that the policy decisions are to be taken by the government of Delhi, and the government of Delhi, whatever policy decisions it takes, because previously in one particular ward there were 5, 6 vents, and in some ward there were no vents at all.
Okay, hold on a second. So Tushar Gupta, what we are essentially being told is, government of Delhi made a policy. The DDA and MCD should have cooperated. That this loss has happened is because of the non-cooperation of these 2 agencies. They didn't let these liquor vents open.
Then why did the policy was withdrawn by the Kejriwal government if they were so sure of the authority, Padmaja, when the investigation was ordered on the complaint of the Congress by the LG? Why were they in such a hurry to withdraw the policy? If they were very sure about the legal merits of it, the administrative merits of it, if the Delhi government was well within its right, as Mr. Joshi here says, to open vents in non-conforming areas, why was the policy withdrawn?
Okay, we will come to that in a second. We will come to that in a second, because I want to explain to our viewers the second head. Retendering of surrendered zones not done, leading to loss of revenue of around 890.15 crores. How did this happen? 890.15 crores, the breakup of that. Now, 19 licensees surrendered their licenses before the policy was scrapped. What happens? You would assume that these 19 licenses would then be retendered. However, the excise department just didn't do it. 19 licensees said, thank you, we don't want your licenses. No retendering was done. As a result, no excise revenue naturally was corrected as license fee. And over here also, Piyush Joshi, can you give a logical explanation for this? Why was there no retendering done? The audit report of the CAG says it is reflective of complete mismanagement by the excise department. Piyush Joshi.
Yeah, I can very well give you logical explanation like I tried to do earlier, provided you want to listen to that particular version, or if you have decided already in your mind. Now, first of all, let me tell you, we are talking about this alleged Liquorgate scam, right? So where is the scam? It is a policy decision. It was a policy decision gone wrong because of the...
Sir, please answer on specific. See, what happens is, we go round and round and we get into conspiracy theory mode. This is an attempt to try and, arrest Kejriwal, to incapacitate. Let's talk about facts. Answer me a simple question. If the licensees surrendered their licenses, I am not your Baba. If some 19 licensees had surrendered their licenses, why wasn't it retendered?
You're done?
Yes.
Can I speak now?
Yes.
So please do not interject me. Just I'll take 30 seconds to 45 seconds to make my reply.
Yes.
Okay. And so because you keep on interjecting me constantly, interfering constantly, that's why I am not able to give you any kind of logical explanation, which you in any case do not want to hear. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you that it is a policy decision. That's what you have been telling. And 941 loss was incurred on because of the judgment passed by the Honorable High Court. Okay. And because the retendering was not allowed, because 400 odd vans were not going to open because of the objection of DDA and MCD. And that is why there is no purpose. How can you retender if the DDA and MCD is not going to allow you to open around 400 vents? And that is why the policy was scrapped. If you are originally going with 840 odd vents and you end up opening only 440 vents, half of the vents you can't open. That is why you are going to face a revenue loss. And that is why this policy was scrapped. You know, it is amazing. The LG interferes, illegal, not illegally, maybe, because the government of the central government went and amended the GNCTD Act. That is why the LG unfairly intervenes. The DDA and MCD go back on their permissions, which were already operational. The shops were already operational in those areas. And now, because of new policies, institutionalization, the MCD and DDA go back on their word. And they say that now we are not going to allow you to open.
So hold on a second. You are saying retendering wasn't done also because DDA didn't allow the shops to open.
Why the licensees surrendered their licenses? आप उनको दुकान खोलने नहीं दोगे तो वो license लेके क्या करेंगे? License fee क्यों pay करेंगे? There were around 400 shops which were not allowed to open because the DDA and MCD did not allow the permissions. So when you go and retender on the same process, first of all, you make up your mind, Padmaja ji, whether there is a corruption scam, whether money has exchanged hands, whether there is a money trail, or whether it is a policy decision.
That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question, because while this is a notional loss of what would have come into the public exchequer had this been done in a well-managed legal way, the other question is that what did the government or the beneficiaries stand to gain? And when they got these concessions, was there a quid pro quo? But we are talking specifically on the technicality of what the CAG has called complete mismanagement. Tushar Gupta, Padmaja Joshi says this is not mismanagement. They returned their licenses because you didn't allow them to open shops. When you didn't allow them to open shops, what's the point of retendering? So this 800 crore notional loss, it's pointless. You don't want the thekas to open there.
See, here is what people are missing. And, there were 864 vents being run by the Delhi government under the old policy. Around 470 out of them were run directly by the 4 corporations under the Delhi government. Somehow in the new policy, 850 odd vents are given to the private sector. The government exits the business totally. The retail margins increase. Now, why would the government not allow for the opening of vents? The Delhi government, that is. Suddenly, the corporations exit the liquor business. Look at the chronology out there. The corporations exit, all the private players are now open to bid for 850 vents. Somehow, only the entire tendering is done in such a manner that only 2-3 players stand to benefit, stand to run those 850 vents, and still some of them back up. Then when it is pointed out that 67 non-conforming wards were having vents, suddenly the scheme is withdrawn. Now, Mr. Joshi is right. We really need to make up our mind that which kind of a scam is this. My worry, Padmaja, is I think it's a double multi-layered scam. There is a notional loss scam also. The money trail has already been established, as the ED has stated in the Supreme Court, of rupees 338 crore in October 2023. So there is a kickback issue also. There is also a tendering issue. That was the tendering done once it was decided that all the private players would be running the vents in Delhi, to structure the tender in such a manner to benefit a very, very, very few players. And already arrests have been made in that regard. So it's a multi-layered scam if you look at it all together.
Again, what we are talking about today is the findings of the CAG. To focus on the specifics of that, 2 heads of the loss we've already elaborated for you. Now let's go to round number 3. We have told you about the retendering that did not happen. Now the third head, loss of revenue of 144 crores. Why did this happen? Because of irregular grant of waiver on account of COVID to zonal licensees. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Here's what happened. The licensees said that we should get a waiver in license fee because of COVID. And the government, the Excise and Finance Department, refused to grant a waiver as per the CAG report. Reason number one, any commercial risk lies with the licensee. Reason number two, in pre-bid meeting, no such provision has been kept. Now, why was the waiver? No waiver for low sales, and actually they did end up giving the waiver. And that again, Piyush Joshi, is why. Why did the government give any of these waivers to the licensees? Because of the excuse of COVID.
Well, the government did give its waiver, and that is there in black and white. And because the shops were not operational in that particular area, that's why. And you give waivers to the toll gates operational. You give waivers to the different markets in taxes. You give waivers to different associations. Because their business were not functional. That is why you give waiver to them. What's wrong with that? What I'm trying to tell you, that it is a policy decision taken by a properly democratically elected government.
But sir, on what basis was the waiver? On what basis was the waiver given?
The effects of demonetization, it will surely run in lakhs and lakhs of crores.
On what?
The loss to the exchequer. But the CAG did not, surprisingly did not bother to check on the audit the effects of demonetization.
Okay, sir, on what basis was this waiver given?
That was a policy decision taken by the government of India.
Why? Why was this waiver given?
Within its right.
Piyush Joshi, you're not answering my question. On what basis was this waiver given? Let me actually read out to you some important details.
Because the shops were non-operational, that's why.
That is not true. During the pre-bid meeting, see sir, the government gives me a shop to run. Now, how I do my business is my business.
Right.
I can't seek waivers from the government if I am not getting business. There were people doing other business, people who had a clothes shop. They did not make money. But will they get waivers from government? Why did an alcohol seller get waivers?
They did get waivers. They get the toll tax operator got waivers.
Sir,
they got waivers in the property tax.
So here are a couple of very important details you are missing out. During the pre-bid meeting, the excise department had actually informed the prospective bidders that there is no provision for force majeure in the tender documents, and the government may issue appropriate orders at a later stage. The demand for licensees for relaxation of license fees on the pretext of COVID restriction does not hold merit, as there is no significant impact on volume of sales in liquor in Delhi. The CAG has found that overall during COVID, on the volume of liquor sold, there was no impact. So on what basis? 2 points. One, at the time of signing the tender, you knew that should there be a black swan event, you will not get any relaxation. Point two, overall alcohol sales figures show that net, if in some areas the sale of alcohol went down, in other areas it also went up. Net, there was no overall fall in the sale of alcohol. Why should anybody get waivers at the cost of the taxpayer?
Right. So how are we evaluating this period? Kindly elaborate on that, whether it is from August 2021 to March 2022, or whether it is August 2021 to December 2021. Kindly enumerate in which quarter is this.
Yes, so this has been done.
I'm not privy to that.
Yes, so the figures that have been given by the Excise Department is that there is a decrease of sales of liquor bottles by 9% during the period 28 December 2021 to 6 January 2022, as against the sale of liquor bottles from 1st December 2021 to 27 December 2021. However, the reduction in sales is also not uniform across all zones, as some of the zones have also experienced increased average sale during this period. This analysis is also not conclusive because the number of vends opened during the month of December varied and gradually increased as more and more vends opened in December.
So you have answered me already. I think whatever you have read explains why the waiver was given.
How?
It is pretty clear,
How?
Because the CAG report in itself says that this is inconclusive. Number one. Number two, there is a discrepanary.
Sir, your finding of losses is inconclusive, not the CAG report.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you. If you go by month-to-month analysis, because you are going to analyze thereafter till the period of March, because that is when the financial year ends, you will find that the volume is almost same, because there was an increased sale in February and March. because the lockdown was over, the COVID was over, the vaccination drive was almost complete. And that is why when you talk about December, there was a loss of revenue because the shops were less.
Sir, but the thumb rule is what? Here is the thumb rule. Here is the thumb rule. No, the basic point is actually different. The basic point is that at the time you took the license for running a liquor vend.
Allow me to make a basic point.
Make a point.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. Just 10 seconds. Let us suppose you are operating a particular. You have been granted the license. You say I'm not having a sale. As I was having in last quarter or maybe a previous year, there is a reduced sale because there is a lockdown. So kindly grant me a waiver. Now, who's to decide upon that? Whether a television anchor will decide, whether a panelist will decide, or whether the lawyers will decide. It is the government.
The terms of the tender will decide. No. Here's where you are wrong. The terms of the tender will decide because the terms of the tender made it absolutely clear that it doesn't matter what your sales are.
The government can make exceptions.
Why did you make the exception? That, sir, is the million-dollar question.
Why shouldn't?
Why did you make an exception?
If you are talking about ease of doing business, why shouldn't the government make exceptions when the business
Whose ease of doing business? You've hit the nail on the head, sir. Whose ease of doing business? Yes, it was for the ease of doing business.
Why the government should not facilitate
whose business
interest? You tell me this.
I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Continuing focus on Operation Cocktail. Viewers, our focus remains on Times Network's mega exclusive Operation Cocktail. We are the only channel to access the CAG report on the Liquorgate scam, while CM Arvind Kejriwal and his AAP generals claim kuch nahi mila. We will reveal what exactly are the findings of India's chief auditor and what has led to this notional loss of 2,002 crore. Let's tell you the big takeaways. The Aam Aadmi Party must answer all these questions. Takeaway number 1 on your screens: 941.53 crore loss borne by Delhi's taxpayers, the Aam Aadmi you viewers. Takeaway 2: licenses for vends in areas banned by the Delhi master plan. What's behind this irregularity? Who will explain this? The next takeaway: fee waivers given to liquor barons without provision. Was this part of the alleged quid pro quo? We don't know. Sisodia overruled Excise and Finance Department and gave waivers. Irregular waivers mentioned in black and white in the CAG report. Fee waivers during COVID when liquor sales went up. And the final takeaway. Let's open this up. This is the final takeaway, viewers: mismanagement and failure to prepare for eventuality. Tushar, Padmaja was going through the details of the audit report. The amount and the way it was done is just mind-boggling.
कट्टर ईमानदार सरकार प्रनेश, कट्टर ईमानदार सरकार। पॉलिसी का इन्वेस्टिगेशन ऑर्डर होता है तो एकदम से पॉलिसी विड्रॉ कर दी जाती है। नोशनल लॉस तो छोड़िए, क्विट्टो को तो छोड़िए, आप नॉन कंफर्मिंग एरियाज में लिकर वेंट्स खोल रहे हैं। यू आर गिविंग अप गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल ऑन लिकर वेंट्स, सेइंग दैट्स in the interest of retail business. All the private players are stepping into the liquor business. Suddenly the tendering is done in such a way that only 2 or 3 players benefit from it. And then after all of it, you say money trail kahan? October 2023, because a lot of people have been asking this question about the money trail, especially from the Aam Aadmi Party. The ED stated in the Supreme Court that established a tentative money trail of rupees 338 crore. The Aam Aadmi Party's lawyer did not contest that. 9 समन आ चुके हैं इन्फोर्समेंट डायरेक्टोरेट से। कट्टर ईमानदार चीफ मिनिस्टर कोऑपरेट नहीं करना चाहते। व्हाट डू वी मेक ऑफ इट? एंड लुक एट द नोशनल लॉस, 941 crores, just because the basic procedure was not followed. What was the basic procedure? That you cannot open liquor vends in non-conforming areas, places where liquor stores are not supposed to open. Remember, back then also the BJP was campaigning, even the Congress was campaigning back then, that इन्होंने हर मोहल्ले में liquor vends खोल दिए, मंदिरों के पास, स्कूल के पास. People were literally worried that why have suddenly so many liquor vents come up? But the Aam Aadmi Party was only talking about the revenues back then.
Who will answer these questions? Piyush Joshi?
Well, I answered amply before, when Padmaja was talking about
I was listening intently to every word you uttered. And I'm sorry to say that I'm not convinced. The answers
That's because you don't want to be convinced. That's because you don't want to be convinced. That's because you do not want to understand
Okay,
why
let
the
me ask
DDA
you
and MCD.
Okay, let's
So
go.
why the DDA and MCD acted in a manner they did. You know, it is very clear that the DDA and MCD acted at the behest of the union government, that is the central government of India, under Home Ministry, under the umbrella of Home Ministry, they do operate. So it is very clear before the implementation of this policy, the vents were operational in those non-conforming areas. And after the implementation of this policy, the LG unfairly passed an order, unfairly, maybe legal, but unfairly passed an order that you have to, go through the again procedure, the same licensing procedure to the MCD and DDA again. And then MCD and DDA blanketly, they did not want to hear the Delhi government's opinion that why should they give licenses in those non-conforming areas. They just went ahead and asked the government not to open any vents in those areas. That's why the licenses, the licenses were surrendered. That's why the loss was there. That's why the licensees went to the High Court, and the High Court in turn passed an order that the license fee is to be returned, and that is where the loss of revenue is. That's why the loss of revenue is taking place. So it is very clear cut that it was a policy gone wrong because of the unfair intervention of the LG. And if we start
now,
calling
Mr. Joshi.
decisions,
Now listen to this.
Decisions a scam. What
Mr.
are we
Joshi,
to make
Mr. Joshi, listen to this.
Demonetization.
Mr. Joshi, listen to this.
So
Why was the retendering of?
I would be happy if you address me that way.
Okay, Piyush ji, retendering क्यों नहीं हुआ?
Now, let me come back to the same point again. I tried to explain that to Padmaja ji as well. If the DDA and MCD are not going to allow the vents, which are around 400 odd vents, in the non-conforming areas, then you go and organize the same process again. After the surrendering of licenses, you again order the retendering in the same areas, and then again they will surrender the licenses. So you follow the same process. So what is the smart thing to do? Because you are not able to open half vents, because the government is suffering a loss of revenue.
Niti Jain, this was the smart thing that they did.
The new policy. So the government did the same thing. They went.
Yeah.
They went.
Let's hear the other side. Piyush bhai, let's hear the other side.
For the people of Delhi, I think that way too smart for the people of Delhi. This is a government, and I'm not surprised that they come out and say DDA bhi galat tha, LG bhi galat the, sab galat the, because they did not fall in line with whatever we were trying to do, whether it was legal or illegal. So the DDA cannot come out and say ki you go against the master plan that has been planned. You plan to open liquor shops everywhere in this state, and then you come out and say ki hame kisi ne support nahi kiya. Sir, because that was not legally done. That was not the way it was supposed to be done. And there was an excise policy, sir. Let me remind your audiences that there was an excise policy which was completely created with 12% profit margins, and out of that 6% was earmarked as kickbacks to the AAP government, which is why, and you can give as many explanations as you want, you do not get bails even from the court. So I am waiting for you to come out and say that even the courts are not supporting us, the courts are also biased, and nobody is with us. We are isolated, and I won't be surprised if you come out and say that. Had you taken the legal route and had you done, आप लोग बात करते हो schools की और hospitals की, not one school you have created, not one hospital, new hospital you have come up with in your entire
the trouble
term.
is, even if they created schools with world-class infrastructure, that is no license to loot the people like this. Tushar?
No, that is what I'm saying. And today they come out and say that the LG did not support them in their illegality, or the DDA did not support them in their illegality. Sir, they will not. They're not supposed to.
If I heard Piyush ji right, I hope he doesn't mind me addressing him as that. Piyush ji right, he said the LG's order was unfair even though legal. Sir, if it's legal, it can never be unfair. Nevertheless, if you're talking about political vendetta also, or if the investigating agencies working on the behest of the union government also, when Manish Sisodia was arrested, when Aam Aadmi Party approached the Supreme Court, they did not cite political vendetta. They did not cite the violation of any fundamental right, Pranesh. Instead, they said, "Aap investigation karwaiye, bas hame arrest mat kariye." हम इन्वेस्टिगेशन के साथ कोऑपरेट करेंगे, हमें अरेस्ट मत करिए। ये टीवी पर आके कह देते हैं इनके स्पोक्स पर्सन और इनके रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, पॉलिटिकल वेंडेटा है। कोर्ट में तो ये दलील पेश करते हैं, इन्वेस्टिगेशन करिए, बस अरेस्ट मत करिए। व्हाट इज अरविंद केजरीवाल डूइंग? He's just trying to dodge an arrest. He doesn't want to cooperate with the investigation because he knows his name is now out. Pradesh, who can ignore 8 summons from the ED? And this is Arvind Kejriwal, who made his career by accusing every politician under the sun.
Let me ask, Piyush ji, is ignoring ED summons repeatedly a smart thing to do for a sitting chief minister?
ED has become basically, frankly, an extortion agency and blackmailing agency for the Union Government of India. We have seen how ED has been operating in cases of electoral bonds.
One minute, Piyush ji, have you noted what the High Court said today when Arvind Kejriwal went to the High Court to seek relief? Do you know what the High Court observed?
Just hold on.
It'll be embarrassing if I start reading out the observations.
No, you can go on and read all the observations you want. I don't mind that. I know what the honorable
other courts are
just let me make my point. Just let me make my point.
You're not making sense, Piyush ji. That's the problem.
Because you don't want to hear. Because you don't want to hear and understand my point of view. Because you already made up your mind.
Let's try once again.
That is why I'm telling you. Had you looked at the electoral bonds and the dates of the enforcement directorate and IT rates and the donations made to the...
will that be the defense in court of the alleged kickbacks that you've got? Will that be the defense?
No. All I'm trying to say that whether Aam Aadmi Party got kickbacks or Manish Sisodia ji got kickbacks personally or Arvind Kejriwal ji got kickbacks or anyone else got kickbacks. Show me the money. Where is the money? And the money trail that Tushar ji is talking about, it is still alleged money trail of 338
crores. Of course, which is why I use the word alleged.
And why the government is
which is why I use the word alleged. No, 1 minute. Piyush ji, you are 1 minute. You are misleading the viewer, sir.
I am not misleading
Let's go by the four.
Agreed.
No, 1 minute. Piyush ji, listen to me, sir, please. This is important for public to understand. Timely permissions were not taken. Look at what the report says. Master plan of Delhi 2007 banned liquor shops in non-conforming areas. Excise policy mandated 2 vents in each ward, even in non-conforming areas. Licenses allotted in August 2021 without DDA MCD clearance. November 2021, DDA stopped liquor vents in non-conforming areas. Licensees approached the High Court, which gave exemption from license fee. And this led to the cumulative loss of 941 crores. This is as per the CAG report. Now you will say CAG is also under the central government. This is a sold out agency, has the mandate to implicate Arvind Kejriwal. You can go on and on.
Pranesh ji, I am not an auditor. That's why I will not comment upon CAG, because the CAG is doing its job phenomenally well so far in this country. Now let me answer to Tushar ji when I said that it was an unfair judgment passed by the LG. Though it may be legal. Now, and he said that if it is legal, it cannot be unfair. The electoral bonds were legal, but were they fair? Thereafter, the Supreme Court, in due course of time, has explained everything, that how they were unconstitutional, not then they were legal at that particular point of time. So you amend the GNCTD Act and you make the LG supreme, and that is why it was legal. So the government does not want the Delhi government to function properly, and that's why you make the LG as the
Niti Jain
authority.
Centre's appointee, LG must answer for this loss.
Pranesh.
Tushar, just let Niti come in, then I'm coming to you.
I think...
Okay, Niti, just hold on. Let Tushar make that point.
Questioning
Niti, just hold your thoughts. Niti, let Tushar make that point. Yes.
Piyush, for all the arguments that you have given right now, I just have one question. Center may not allow Delhi government to function. Let's take your argument at face value for the sake of debate. Did the center government push the Arvind Kejriwal government to withdraw its excise policy? Yes or no? Did the LG force him to withdraw that policy? Arvind Kejriwal's government withdrew the new liquor policy just after a day the investigation was ordered. Neither the center pushed him to do so, neither the LG pushed him to do so. You can make all the lofty claims you want. You cannot have an answer as to why did the Kejriwal government withdraw that policy only after an investigation was ordered.
Can I tell you why? Why did they do that?
No. Hold on.
I did explain that.
Legal and the administration.
A few minutes back only I explained that.
You are saying that the center is not allowing the Delhi government to function. I am telling you that the policy was withdrawn by the Delhi government. I'm sorry, you're not.
You very well know why the policy was withdrawn. If you're not able to open half the vents, there is going to be a continuous loss of revenue for the Delhi government. So there.
No, but you're not answering the question Tushar Gupta asked you. Why was it withdrawn? Why was it withdrawn? Why was it withdrawn under pressure?
He did not.
It was not withdrawn under pressure. It was withdrawn because there were around 850 odd vents which were going to open. And
or maybe you realize that it will land you in trouble, more trouble.
So that's why you.
Reactions coming in. Now, 1 minute. Tushar.
Last point. Pranesh, last point. You are saying that the policy was withdrawn because half of the vents could not open. It's surprising you say so, because ironically, Kejriwal chose that one day after the investigation was ordered. He did not wait for those unopened vents to withdraw the policy, but he waited for an investigation order to withdraw the policy. Sir, good theatrics, but the people see through it.
Okay, now just stay with us. Reactions coming in.
Arvind Kejriwal go and answer the questions for the
Niti Jain, I'll come to you. Let's play out the reactions we have on this. Operation Cocktail, big disclosure on Times Now, loss of 2,002 crores. This is all in the CAG report accessed by your channel. Reactions coming in.
1,000+ crores of loss is a very big amount. We must understand that the Aam Aadmi party's name is based on the Aam Aadmi, which means the common citizen. They came on the promise of they will eliminate corruption and serve the people. What are they doing? They seem to be serving business entities. They seem to be serving maybe their own selves, because the allegation is about large sums of money exchanging hands in the liquor scam or the excise policy. Now, Mr. Kejriwal is finding excuse after excuse since September, October to avoid the investigation. He's a man who said we will not allow investigation to happen, we will not allow corruption to happen, and we will ensure we root out corruption. His two colleagues, his ministers who work under him, he's the chief minister, are in jail without bail for allegations of corruption.
No, I have no idea. It is just hearsay for me. We do not know what actually happened, what the report, actually inquiry report has come out. But this controversy is going on for long. I think liquor policy, if they say faulty policy and intentionally committing crime is different. So if there is a faulty policy, many policy in the country will find fault because of misunderstanding. Sometimes policy is formulated which may be wrong. Wrong policy should be abolished, changed.
Niti Jain, the Aam Aadmi Party and obviously leaders of Team India, their alliance partners, are blaming the agency.
No, they will, because they're all connected in some way. Like we have always said that this India alliance was not about India or Bharat, it was about saving themselves, saving the dynasty and saving the corruption of this dynasty. So they will all be together, I get that. But to talk about Piyush ji, sir, you can give me as many examples and as many explanations about this. Why don't you tell me why is it that Arvind Kejriwal will not go and answer the same questions to the ED? Because you know your earlier leaders from the same party, they are still in jail. The courts have refused to give them bail and they have refused to put a stay on the relief that Arvind Kejriwal was asking for. He has a bail on a bond of 15,000, so that is not the same as getting a relief. This is basically just a preemptive bail of sorts. You still have to go answer those questions. This is the bottom line of everything. Why don't you just go and make these explanations in front of the ED, get a clean sheet and get out?
Piyush ji, answer that.
Can I respond to this? You know, the ED, and then we can discuss about the amendments to the PMLA Act till the cows come home. You know, and yet we'll reach nowhere because we know how draconian that amendment is.
But what has amendment to the PMLA Act got to do with what the audit report says about Liquorgate?
That amendment makes virtually impossible to, practically impossible to get a bail if the ED objects to that particular thing. If the ED
You
is
should have been
objecting
more
to your
careful
bail,
while you were doing all of this. Why blame the law and the amendment?
More careful doing what? What are you telling? We should have been careful doing what? Where is the money trail? Where is the money? Is in Manish Sisodia's bank? Is the money in Arvind Kejriwal's bank? Is the money is in the principal secretary's bank? Where is the money? Is the money is in Aam Aadmi Party's bank account? Where is the money? What are you talking about? 2 years down the line, all of them will be exonerated. We will be having the same debate.
Why don't you tell us where the money is? And if there is no money,
don't get worked up. Listen, I am only asking. All my questions are based on what the audit report says, which Timestar has accessed.
Now, debates have you done on Digambar Kamath? Tell me this. What are we talking about?
What about is this, Tushar?
It's a policy decision, bro. So if
I don't understand
why.
Demonetization,
did the exchequer and did the CAG evaluated the loss to the exchequer because of the demonetization?
Okay, I think
by this logic, Piyush ji, no, 1 minute. By this logic, the two AAP leaders who are in jail, 1 minute. 1 minute, Mr. Sisodia and Sanjay Singh should be telling the court that 10 other...
You are putting them unfairly behind bars.
Piyush ji, by this logic, your leader Sanjay Singh and Sisodia must be telling the court that other people have got bail, give us bail. Does not work like this. We'll have to take a short break. Viewers, we'll come back to this at top of 7. Neeti Jain, Piyush ji, Tushar, thanks for joining us.